Today, I'm going to share with you 5 upgrades, all under $300, that will elevate the look and feel of your space and give you more of that luxury vibe that you're trying to achieve. I create interiors that evoke a feeling and spaces where memories are born. My name is Lisa Santaki. I'm a designer and interior stylist. And if interior design and home decor are your thing, click the subscribe button and follow along. Creating a luxury home isn't about spending more, it's about choosing with intention. And often it comes down to just a few key upgrades that can completely transform your space. When I'm working with my clients, we focus on refinement over excess. We really pinpoint the client's style, their material preferences, and the color palette that they love. And then we work from that and really refine the design. Too much of different things and just too much in general reads as cheap. It is not thoughtfully curated. It's not refined. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Oh, but Lisa, in order to achieve luxury, I got to spend a ton of money and it's just not attainable. But I got some news for you. It's not always the case. Sometimes it comes down to just a few key upgrades that will really transform the look and the overall feel of your space. I'm going to share with you 5 upgrades, all under $300, that will elevate the look and feel of your space and give you more of that luxury vibe that you're trying to achieve. So first up is hardware. Think about cabinet pulls or interior door hardware, hinges, the handles on the doors, or even curtain rods and finials on curtain rods, the hardware pieces of your home. Whenever I'm selecting hardware for my clients' projects, we opt for high quality finishes, and I always try to stay away from anything that's overly trendy or overly embellished. Sometimes that can read a little gaudy. You want to stick with something that has a little bit of detail, but has simple, timeless details. Something that's just going to give you that luxe look and feel, but it's not going to be over the top. It's not going to be too attention grabbing. Subtle details look refined and scream luxury. Now, when considering these items, think of them as the jewelry of your home, the jewelry pieces of the space. Another thing I would recommend is to go with timeless finishes. So brass, unlacquered brass, polished nickel, brushed brass, oil rub bronze. You get the idea. And the key to this is also selecting only 2 or 3 of those finishes to work together in the space. You don't want to overdo it, but then you don't want to keep everything exactly the same. That blended look gives a more elevated look and feel to the space rather than everything being consistent. You want to add depth, you want to add dimension, and you want to add different color variations by introducing a few different color finishes and tonal items into the space. You're elevating the look and feel. You want to keep these finishes consistent throughout the space. And I always recommend sticking with 2 to 3 finishes that work really well together. For instance, if you're going to go with brass, I always recommend going with a polished nickel. The undertones in polished nickel next to brass complement one another. Hardware selections, the colors, the details on the hardware, the finish, these are all just subtle, but it signals intention and cohesion. Even the most beautiful finishes will fall flat if the right lighting isn't utilized. It's important to layer your lighting and to utilize both table, floor lamps, and overhead lights in the space. The overhead lighting will give you your ambient light, while floor lamps and table lamps can be used as accent or task lighting, creating shadows and depth in the space. These shadows add a luxurious look and feel while also creating a mood at different times. Another thing that I see people doing a lot that is a big no-no is not being consistent with light temperatures or choosing a light temperature that's just way too cold for the space. So when considering a residential home, you want to stay within the 2700 to 3000 Kelvin range. And that is going to give you a nice warm white light to a little bit of a crisp white light if that's your preference. But if you are going to go within that range, stick to the same kelvins throughout the house. Any change in lighting temperature is going to be noticeable, and it's going to start rendering colors a little bit different in the space. Also, when you're choosing colors for your space, make sure that you're bringing them into the space and also looking at whatever lighting temperature you're going to be putting in the space, because lighting temperature does have an impact and an effect on how colors are perceived within the space. With lighting, you want to focus on creating depth rather than brightness. This is what's going to give your space that soft, warm, inviting glow. And this is where the space truly begins to feel complete. Okay, let's discuss textiles, because textiles and layering is the next key to our perfect formula to achieve the luxury look and feel. So one upgrade to your textiles that really does give that luxurious look and feel are pillow inserts. I mean, it seems so simple and so insignificant, but it really does make a difference. Think down-filled pillow inserts instantly feel just so much better than the fake stuff. And you can kind of squish and mold your pillows into whatever shape you want. Don't get too crazy. And it instantly just looks so much better. And then you sit down and the pillow just feels good next to you, and you kind of just mold it as you move around, and it feels good. It's luxurious. Also consider the materials that you're putting into the space. So I always like to opt for natural materials, wools, sheepskin, linens, cotton. Those instantly look and feel upscale against something like cheap polyester. Another thing that will instantly elevate the look and feel of a space is drapery. So a lot of the time you'll see drapery and it's kind of hung wrong. It's hung too close to the window frame. You want to try to get that install height as close to the ceiling as possible. It elongates the ceiling height. It makes the room look that much more grand. And you want to make sure that your drapery is just touching the floor or a little bit above the floor line, or pulling on the floor, like draping on the floor. All three looks are acceptable and can look gorgeous in the space. But always make sure, number one, you install your drapery at the right height. So textiles considered, this is where comfort meets sophistication. And finally, this is where true refinement comes in. Styling isn't about adding more. It's about editing, being very specific with your finishes, your textures, your colors, being intentional with your lighting, and being refined and selective with your furniture pieces that you introduce into the space. Remember to choose fewer and more intentional pieces, but you also want to make sure that it's really going to work for your lifestyle as well. Too much clutter screams cheap. Refinement screams luxury. And if you're going to add decor pieces, do it in odd numbers. There's this thing with odd numbers, and it just gives this elevated look and feel. So think in groups of 3 or 1. Just display the one large item, or do the grouping of 3. Or if there's a collection that you want to incorporate, do 5, do 7. But stick with the odd numbers if you are going to display, because it really does just look better. Okay, back to refinement. Leave negative space. You don't need to fill every corner, every wall, every itty bitty little space with something. The moment you start doing that, refinement is lost. The space feels cluttered, it feels disorganized, it's going to feel cheap. Practice refinement, be selective, and leave the negative space. If you want a home to feel more elevated, you want to focus on the details that are going to create cohesion, depth, and balance. Luxury isn't defined by how much you're spending, it's defined by how well it all comes together. The feel it gives to the space. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.